The HOA blocked my car while my wife was still in her hospital gown, fresh from a false labor scare. They told her to strip before she could enter our own neighborhood. 30 minutes later, county investigators and police stormed in, and Patricia, the HOA president, never saw it coming. Act 1. The Spark of Conflict. I'm Ethan Kororic, compliance officer at a hospital-licensed paramedic. I live in Sienna Ridge Estates, the kind of suburban bubble that looks perfect on the outside: symmetrical hedges, polished mailboxes, glossy newsletters, but underneath, quiet fear. Fines, warnings, humiliation. Everyone whispers about it. No one fights it. Until it hit me. That afternoon, Lana, my wife, 7 months pregnant, sat pale and shivering in the passenger seat. She had a hospital blanket draped across her lap, a fur tape still clinging to her arm. We weren't coming back from a picnic. We were coming home from a labor scare. And there she was, Patricia Vandermeyer, clipboard in hand, standing in the middle of the roundabout like she owned every inch of pavement. They can't come in dressed like that. It violates our decency code. I tightened my grip on the wheel. I told her flat, "This is post-labor transport. You're interfering with medical care, Patricia. Federal emergency law protects this." She didn't care. She wanted power, not safety. She demanded Lana change her clothes right there in the street, while HOA security pulled up behind us, camera already rolling. And the worst part, Lana's hand in mine was ice cold. We lost our first baby last year. The fear in her eyes told me we could lose again, and not because of medicine, because of a damn clipboard. Patricia didn't back down. She waved her security guy Mark closer. He asked me to, "Please cooperate." I told him his body cam just caught Patricia breaking federal law. He froze. She smirked. We drove past her anyway. But when I opened my mailbox, a violation letter was already waiting. Pre-typed, embossed, accusing us of unauthorized exposure in public access space. They wanted a written apology. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about submission. And here's where I ask you, what would you have done? Write the apology and stay quiet, or stand up and risk everything? Comment below, because I didn't stay quiet. Act 2. Escalation and turning point. At first I thought maybe we should let it go. My wife needed rest. I didn't want more stress on her or the baby. But Patricia doubled down. Another letter this time with a $300 fine. Threats of access restrictions. And then Lana, she broke down. She whispered, "Maybe we should just pay. I don't want to lose another baby because of this fight." That hit me harder than anything Patricia could do, because for one moment I almost agreed. I almost gave up. I sat there staring at that violation notice, wondering if I was just dragging my family into a war we couldn't win. But then came the twist. Late one night, HOA security officer Mark showed up at my door. No uniform this time, just a flash drive in his hand. He said, "I downloaded my body cam before they wiped it. It's all there, Patricia, blocking you, ignoring your wife, the citations. I can't go public, but don't let her erase this." That changed everything, because now it wasn't just my word. It was proof. And when I started digging, I realized we weren't alone. On the neighborhood forum, women were posting about being written up for maternity leggings, tank tops, even watering flowers in a sports bra. One resident shared her mother's citation, fined for walking with an oxygen tank while in a hospital gown. Patricia said she made the neighborhood look like a facility. This wasn't random. This was a pattern. I gathered every post, every violation, every timestamp. I showed it all to Dr. Anjali Ma, hospital compliance chief. She didn't even finish reading before saying, "This isn't enforcement. This is targeted interference. File with county EMS. You've got a case." That was the moment. The doubt, the fear, I dropped it. Because Patricia hadn't just come after my family. She'd been humiliating vulnerable people for years, and I wasn't going to let her bury it anymore. Question for you. Would you risk going public if it meant your neighbors finally saw the truth? Or would you protect your family and stay silent? Act 3. The Showdown. I built the case like evidence in a courtroom. Body cam clips, violation letters, old HOA newsletters Patricia had planted about visual harmony and banning hospital imagery. I uploaded it to the county compliance division, and I dropped the link in our private community forum. By the time the HOA called a special meeting, the folder had over 70 views. Submissions were pouring in. Patricia thought she was about to scare me in front of the board. She had no idea the entire neighborhood was ready. That night, the clubhouse parking lot overflowed. People showed up not in suits, not in Sunday best, but in quiet defiance. Walking canes visible, maternity wear, even medical braces and scooters parked in plain sight. For once, no one was hiding. Patricia sat at the head of the board clipboard, clutched like a weapon. The county EMS officer stood and said, "We are here today due to multiple complaints of interference with medical recovery and discriminatory enforcement. This is documentation, not debate." He opened my folder and started reading page after page. Patricia's voice on tape. Residents cited for walkers, braces, hospital gowns. The line, "It projects weakness." And then something broke. Mrs. Given, our elderly neighbor fined for solar lights, stood up holding her own violation letter. She said, "I stayed silent because I thought it was easier." But silence was never protection. It was compliance. The room shifted. One by one, voices rose. A retired fire captain cited for leaning on a walker. A teenage girl written up for a back brace. Parents, veterans' mothers. Every story piled higher on Patricia's shoulders. She finally stood, voice sharp. "Standards require sacrifice. Appearances matter. If we allow exceptions, we lose everything." That was it. I stood too, cutting through her speech. "This isn't about appearances. This is about humanity. You humiliated my wife after a hospital discharge. You punished people for healing, aging, recovering. That's not community, it's control." The EMS officer didn't wait. He turned to her and said, "Effective immediately, you are suspended from enforcement pending audit. Any further citations under Section 4C are invalid." Gasps, murmurs, and then silence. The board voted right there. Patricia was stripped of her authority. She sat down pale, shaking her clipboard useless in her lap. No one defended her. No one even looked at her. And in that silence I finally breathed. Lana's hand gripped mine. She smiled, not because we won, but because the neighborhood finally saw her, saw us, saw the truth. Closing line. Patricia thought policies outranked people, but justice has roots, and it breaks through whether she likes it or not.